Today on Criminal Psychology Files with Greg Stewart. Andrew James McGann, a 28-year-old former elementary school teacher, stands accused of the brutal, random double homicide of Clinton and Cristen Brink, a married couple hiking with their daughters in Devil's Den State Park, Arkansas. The attack occurred on July 26, 2025, and left the community stunned by its senselessness and cruelty. Here are the key details of this horrific crime. The attack. Clinton was stabbed first. Cristen rushed their two daughters, ages 7 and 9, to safety, then returned to help her husband, and was fatally stabbed herself. The arrest. McGann was captured mid-haircut at a Springdale barbershop after a 5-day manhunt. Surveillance footage and DNA evidence linked him to the crime scene. The evidence, blood found in McGann's vehicle, matched DNA from the scene. Witnesses saw him leaving the trail with blood on his face and entering a black Kia Stinger. The confession. McGann admitted to the killings during police questioning. Authorities say he waited with deliberated purpose to commit the murders. The charges. He faces 2 counts of capital murder. Prosecutors will seek the death penalty. The victims. Clinton and Cristen Brink had recently moved to Arkansas. Clinton was set to begin work as a milk delivery driver. Cristen was a licensed nurse. Their daughters are now safe with relatives. What makes a man commit a crime like this? Find out today on Criminal Psychology Files.
Hello, everybody. My name is Greg Stewart, and welcome to Criminal Psychology Files. Today, we're going to discuss the Devil's Den State Park murders of the family, or in this case, the parents of 3 little girls, Clinton and Cristen Brink, murdered at the hand of Andrew James McGann. And we're going to discuss that today, of what makes you go from school teacher to murderer and all the things in between. Obviously, this has been covered by many different news front influencers, news shows, and today we are also going to cover it and break it down from my life coaching and psychological work that we are doing together here as behavioral coaches. So let's start with that. But before we do, if you can please subscribe, like, and share, and help this podcast continue to grow. We can bring you more stories like this together, answer the questions, connect on the tough issues, and break it down, because your words matter. And I'd love to hear what the public, meaning you, has to say about crimes such as this. Okay, so let's begin. Now, Andrew James McGann. He was a school teacher in Oklahoma. He was a school teacher in Texas, and then he was just recently hired in Arkansas. So what did they have in common? Well, the Brink family also was moving to this area to start a new life. They wanted to do it the right way. This guy comes in and says, I think I'll go out today. Premeditated or not? What do you think about that? I do believe, as well as the FBI and some of the shows that I had researched and watched some of these things on in reference to get some more facts. But one of the key things they said is that this guy, he put something on his license plate as he pulled in. So a lot of people go, was this premeditated? Did he see them? He didn't know them. I think this was a random attack. A lot of police enforcement in that state, as well as others, also believe that this was a random attack. He was looking for someone that day. He didn't hurt the little girls, and you'll find why I'm mentioning that, as well as you probably know if you already watched some shows, that he has deviant personality traits. As a school teacher, one of the main reasons why he is not at other schools is because he acts very inappropriate, saying inappropriate things like to little girls, I wish I can date you, I wish I could marry you. And parents notice this behavior, this sickening behavior, and how he would play games with the little girls and put the little boys off to do something else. Very red flag, bad behavior. And it was obviously brought up enough at these other 2 school districts that they, other than saying, I think you need to resign, they didn't act on. They didn't put notes in the computer to say, hey, when someone calls for a recommendation, be aware of this guy. Why? What are you afraid of? Because You didn't make a documented report. And then if you give a referral like that, he can sue you. I mean, what is the reason that you didn't make notes? Because you might have contributed in reference to saving these people, opposed to putting this guy back out there and giving them opportunities. After all, he was going to start work. The school year is now starting, and he was going to start work supposedly in Arkansas. And what do you think he's thinking? I'm driving in, I see the sign, Devil's Den State Park. Do you think also that contributes to something? Do you think, like, what a way, is this a sign for me? Devil's Den? Maybe this is where I commit my crime, because this park is changed forever, as well as those little girls. They're scarred for life, working in life coaching and seeing all kinds of trauma. You better believe that now they are the latest victims on top of the parents, regardless, because of what they have to go through. Eventually, they are going to have to go to school. They're going to be looked upon as those girls. Look, oh, their parents were this and that. How hard is this on these little girls? But we're going to go more in depth in reference to James McGann and the crimes he committed. But the first thing I want to do is give my heart to Clinton and Cristen, because they did what every great parent does: protect their family. And that's exactly what Clinton was doing at the time. He fought off Andrew as much as he can, told his wife, go get the kids out of here. And he probably thought that she was going to safety, not realizing that she was going to turn back and try to save him as well. And unfortunately, she met her demise. So what can we do to protect our children, to protect ourselves going through state parks? And I'll give you some tips in reference to my recommendations to keep you safe in situations such like this. So once again, let's break down this case, starting with this narration coming up right now on Criminal Psychology Files.
Andrew James McGann's road to murder. What are the facts in reference to his criminal psychology? One parent in an elementary school in Texas by the name of Zachary Polyak claims to have seen Andrew put a little girl on his lap, and he would say things like, "I wish I could date you, and I wish that you could be my girlfriend." These are known as grooming techniques. Be aware of the signs. Sexual predators often use manipulative tactics to gain the trust of their victims and exploit them. Some common grooming techniques include building trust and rapport. Predators may try to establish a connection with their victim, often through shared interests or emotional support. Isolation. They may attempt to isolate their victim from friends, family, or other support networks. Emotional manipulation. Predators might use guilt, shame, or emotional blackmail to control their victim. Gradual boundary pushing. They may start with small, seemingly harmless actions and gradually escalate their behavior. Secrecy and confidentiality. Predators might convince their victims to keep secrets or maintain confidentiality. It's essential to recognize these tactics and prioritize your safety and well-being. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse or exploitation, there are resources available to help, such as the National Sexual Assault Hotline, 1-800-65-6-HOPE, or the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-99-SAFE.
All right, so James McGann, he unfortunately killed this wonderful family, at least these wonderful parents of these lovely little girls, right? Then he's seen leaving the park with his plate covered up and blood on his face, and he drives off. But if you look at the files on TV shows, on these investigating news channels, the one thing that they reference to is that, again, we know this was premeditated. This wasn't random. He picked a place that was desolate at a time where it was not basically trafficked through with people. He knew exactly. He stalked and waited until he can do this heinous crime, which he did. Now, what does he do? This goes to show, again, a part of his psychology. If you look into the video shown on the news in reference to he goes to the Springdale barbershop, not nervous, not overwhelmed. I'm going to go get a haircut. And you're sitting there, you're not fidgety, you're not thinking, you're actually focusing on what the barber is doing. And most barbers usually at least brief moments will have a conversation with you. This person flipped a switch. And does that play a part in the courtroom down the road? Like, he was able to turn it off. And this is not uncommon with psychopathic behavior, right? His criminal psychology, whether he had a record, which he didn't, from school to school to school, despite the red flags, he was already showing psychopathic criminal psychology behaviors. And therefore, here he is, one moment to the next, one moment to the next. Now, we do train in our work as a life coach that people can change their state that fast. But you just committed a crime where you took lives. And that's why FBI agents believe this isn't his first. Remember, he doesn't have a record that's following him. And he was basically a school transient. He went from one school state to another school state. Now here he is in Arkansas. But now he's caught. So again, a lot of people believe, and now supposedly the investigation is going to look into these other areas where if there is mysterious cold case murders that possibly can be linked to Andrew McGann. So this is what we know. This is what we're connecting on. Now, a lot more will come on about this case, but the psychology, you could see in the mugshots, the anger. What is going through your head? He is not showing fear. He's not showing any sort of normalcy. He just looks pissed. He looks angry. And what is anger in the form of behavior, right? Normally, anger is a form of protection. So he's not saying much. So that might be how he's using a shield, right? Because we use anger to protect. And that makes sense in reference to his face. Now, he did admit, people say, well, he confessed. No, he admitted. And according to watching the show in reference to FBI files, admittance is totally different than confessing. I don't know if it's because when you confess, you might feel some remorse, or admitting, I want the credit. I want people to know I did this. So that's what we're going to connect on here. And we also want to talk about now strategies of what you can look out for if you're in a state park, coming up after this question and narration, right after this.
Andrew James McGann. When looking at Andrew from the outside, he seemed normal, but it seemed he wouldn't let too many people in. For instance, people have commented that when having a conversation with him, he would never look you in the eyes. He would make weird, insecure jokes such as, I connect better with children and that's why I would never teach adults. Adults scare me. But when keeping himself in shape, Andrew enjoyed wrestling and hiking. So what makes a person act in this way? Criminal psychological fact 1. Acceptance. Children don't judge. And children are also looking to fit in as well. So an adult can take advantage of this innocence. Fact 2. Resentment of adults. Seeing children who love their parents and wanting the children in the same way. Noticing loving behavior that the parents are receiving. Fact 3. Able to control with grooming the child and having them believe by the praise that the child is receiving. So what needs to happen? Schools need to worry about red flags and not the school's image. Today, due to these red flags not being picked up, now we have 3 girls that are orphans and possible custody battles between the in-laws. Hopefully not. But this is too much of a recurring theme, from Columbine murders to now Idaho and Arkansas state park murders. We need a networking system for schools to see who is working in education. Perhaps the Facebook of education, a networking system to protect people and students and our children from these predators. And now they're the educators in our schools. Let this be the final example and step up from these wolves in sheep's clothing.
So at this point, the legal fallout, if you will, is that this individual, Andrew, is charged with 2 counts of capital murder. And they said that prosecutors will not waive the death penalty. There's not much of a motive yet that's coming out, but I think we put together some pretty good facts in reference to at least who he is. And what I say by that is because there's patterns, and the pattern is showing his basic transient behavior, whether he was building up like most killers do, building up his energy, his like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start, I'm looking, and he finally got the motivation to do this. And maybe it was the trigger of Devil's Den State Park. I'm just throwing that out there. I have no factual to that, but the point is that the other facts stand, the other patterns in reference to the children, particularly young little girls, when I say children. And then, of course, tunnel vision to go right after the parents and not even really go towards the girls. Was there a form of resentment there? So, what can we do? You heard some of the things in the narration. That's up to education and the states and the cities and the governments to come together and make some sort of system. I mean, this was Columbine, the trench coat mafia. We want to start a form of a trend. There was that crime in Virginia where that person shot up a school. You're hearing more and more of this. And now you're hearing things in school. Now it's another trend of your students can't go to school because these teachers are doing sexual things to them, and then it's coming out that Mrs. So and so touched me, did this, we had intimacy, sex, if you will. And now you have a teacher who is basically going up to little girls. I want to marry you. I wish you were older. I would date you. These red flags. But in this case, let's go back for a moment to the Clinton and his wife and the Brink family. What do when you're in this position? Because I told you in past episodes, I should say, I told you in the past episode, I've been in a situation, but I had training where where this computer to the assailant in front of me, I opened my car door and he came at me. And if he went at the time I opened the door because it was unexpected, he could have stabbed me, but he wanted something. He wanted my wallet. Okay. So did Clinton have a moment to react? Did he see this person coming and running? Obviously, he's seen enough energy that he could say, get the girls out of here. And then he fought this person, right? So there was enough time. So I would never advocate hurting or killing someone. And I didn't in the case when I got mugged, though I did defend myself and I was successful. But now in these days, as I'm getting older, you know, what do you do? Do you carry weapons into state parks? And in a sense, I do. And I'm not advocating this, but my goal is to see you protected. So I don't want to kill someone with a gun, but I will protect myself. So I looked into, and this is not a plug for this company. This is to protect you. I don't get paid for this, but I use the rubber bullet Burma gun or the pepper spray gun that even if I shot at a tree and it's pepper spray, it's going to be enough to incapacitate that person, to stop them in their tracks and give you enough time to get your family or yourself out of that situation. Sometimes my significant other goes, "Oh my God, you're bringing that with you?" I keep it right in my vehicle. We get out because we do go to a lot of state parks. And if it's not busy and it's desolate, I highly recommend bring your Burma gun. I say Burma because this is the gun that police officers utilize because it works. It works and it's not going to kill. It's non-lethal. And again, this isn't a plug. This is a plug to save you, if anything. It's non-lethal and it will get the job done. Imagine if he's seen this person, and already, if I've seen someone, my hand is on it already, okay? And I see him and he's getting closer, I now draw it. And I'll draw it and keep it like this. And if he gets closer, then I'll be ready to go. This could save your life in situations like this. Look into it. It'd be the best financial investment. If you're looking to have a life with your family, if you're looking to go to a place where you have to be concerned in this day and age, and unfortunately you do. I actually just told my son's wife, my in-law, my daughter-in-law, she says, I go to walks at this beach area. I go, are there people there? And this is before this crime came up. She goes, oh yeah, don't worry about it. I go, no, you have to worry. She goes, there's always someone there. And I go, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. And I want you to feel better about yourself. Look into, again, this is not a plug, the Burma gun. Just look into it. Pull up some videos on YouTube, but protect your family. If there's no other way, imagine if they had that. This might have saved their life. So I want you to look into that for you. And I hope this was educational and helpful of the red flags in reference to deviates, predators, and killers such as Andrew James McGann. So without further ado, thank you for tuning in. Please, once again, subscribe, like, and share. Help this podcast get this word out. And until next time, have a great day or evening, wherever you may be.